sort of a negative feeling. When I think of news, I think of crime or some sort of form of manipulation. Yeah, not such a positive thing. This past school year, there was a student who had fallen off a building and died. I think it was the urban planning building, and the news sources that I looked like, they twisted it to make it look like a suicide when it was an accident. And I just don't like when those sorts of things happen, and I just don't trust them because of that. I feel like it's more a way of entertaining the population rather than informing them of news that's correct.
With the news being a 24-hour thing now, I feel like the writers, the journalists, and the reporters need to all get things done in like 30 minutes. Like they don't have time to go and make sure, as important as it is to get things right and accurate, they don't necessarily have the time to do that because they're on such a time crunch. They're always under this pressure, like get the news quickly as possible. Watching a video of something that's happening on site, it could be posted by a 12-year-old, but it's a video. They're not making it up. They're, as important as it is to be objective in news reporting, that's, I feel like that's rarely the case. It's rarely objective. A lot of times there's people's opinions, or it's just the rhetoric, just the way that it's, we can go CCLCD, it's just exactly. The way that it's written, or the structure of their story, any of that stuff like that all makes a difference. That all impacts the way the reader understands a story. And even if it's unintentional, it still has an influence. So I just feel like when I watch a video on YouTube, that's as close to a primary source as I'm going to get. I may not be able to go there and find out what's happening, but I'm going to be able to learn more.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're always more reliable, because everyone has biases, everybody misinterprets things, but like Zahar said, I think that they would be more authentic because they're coming from people within the community with lived experience who aren't calculating and measuring and just observing what's going on. They're actually living it, and they can give you that experience that comes from living that somebody coming from outside of the source can't. Well, I think that making it have a personal impact is really important, because especially for people in marginalized groups, they're interested in the news because it really affects them and it has a direct and lasting impact on their life. So for me personally, getting into debate was one of the best things I could do to become a critical thinker, and I think pushing those kinds of friendly, competitive academic activities and making news something tangible, something that you can touch and interact with, is really important, and it can really change a young person's conception of news and why it's important and what it really is.
When it comes to critical thinking, that's extremely important, and news is really nothing if you don't know how to analyze it and evaluate it and develop your own opinions for or against certain sources. But I think, if we're talking about a classroom setting, I think a teacher, if it means stopping a lesson plan for that day and sitting and saying, look, here's what's going on in the news and you need to be aware of it and why we need to be aware of it, and then showing the same story from different sources, I think is one of the biggest things. Because when I saw how different things were portrayed, it was just so huge, and it made me realize that I can't just listen to anything, and I need to be picky about what I read and where I read it from and how I read it. So I think just kind of comparing and contrasting different sources is really important, because it tells people that they have a critical role in understanding the news.
I feel that a lot of youth today are very apathetic, except for when it comes to gossip or what celebrities are doing, and I feel that their focus needs to shift from that to other matters, and I feel that a lot of professors, different schools can change that outlook.
There's so many different ways to attack it and to develop critical thinking. Every single subject can have this sort of thing, if you look at science, you can look at how statistics are skewed or how funding is given to certain scientific agencies to research certain things that certain people want them to research, or looking at rhetoric, like the language that news uses and how that affects how people see things and how they understand what's going on around them, and even math, again, statistics, how people skew those things, how they say a certain number means something when it really might mean something else. Like, you can look at it in every single way. And I think that if we really want young people to be critical thinkers, like, we need to attack it in that way, like through the school system, and allow them to engage with news in every single aspect of their life, because it is in every single aspect of their life.